as they initially thought, so they don't end up bringing it. And then Dell kind of anticipates that by running a line that's then pretty neutrally soft across the board to Corsola, and it pays pretty significant dividends as the Corsola unfortunately was nowhere to be found.
Yeah, and that is all the mind games. That is the chess game that is going, the unseen chess game that is going on between two battlers up on the stage. There is a lot of pressure under those lights, and we have a lot more high-pressure games yet to play today. We are in the losers bracket for those of you just tuning in. We are wrapping up day one battles. These trainers are trying to punch their ticket to Championship Sunday tomorrow, and these are the final battles of day number one.
And it looks like we do have the two competitors who we are going to see here. It's going to be GoLeagueGregg, who's been on stream a couple times, versus a fan favorite in AshtonAsh.
AshtonAsh, a phenomenal battler, and an international champion runner-up, an international champion finalist, but is looking for that like big, glorious win that we want to see him have.
And on the loser side of the bracket, so down but not out by any means. And the big thing is just getting to day number two. Once you're in day number two, it really feels like anything can happen, but you've got to get to top cut. And standing in his way is GoLeagueGregg, a trainer who honestly kind of made a name for himself right away from that first interview, talking about Annihilate. It's going to be big this weekend. And it's taken him this far. So Annihilate has put on quite a show so far. For AshtonAsh, AshtonAsh is running a very interesting moveset choice here. We've seen a lot of Shadow Quagsire DeFi, but have we seen an Aqua Tail Mud Bomb Quagsire yet?
No. So what, I'm thinking about some of the benefits of Mud Bomb. You get there a little bit quicker. Ground type damage, with even though Mud Slap is out of the game, it's not like ground type damage lost a lot of targets. There's still a lot of places for that damage to go, but are there any other benefits I'm not thinking of? Because Stone Edge, it's just so nice to have that heavy hitting guaranteed knockout.
What it would do is it would dramatically shore up your matchup into Pokemon like Empoleon, whereas currently the Empoleon-Quagsire interaction usually favors Empoleon as long as there aren't a bunch of shields in play, just because your Mud Shots don't do a lot even though they're super effective, and your charge attack arsenal is entirely resisted. So you are basically trading the flexibility of it, where now suddenly you're actually walled by something like an Altaria, but you end up having a more convincing Empoleon matchup. So there is some give and take there. This is the first trainer that we've seen try out this moveset, and I'm curious to see if it will end up paying some dividends. Across GoLeagueGregg's team, there are a few targets for it in the Unova Stunfisk and the Empoleon, but suddenly that makes Altaria significantly stronger into the team.
Yeah, taking a look at the Altaria on the side of GoLeagueGregg, Altaria doesn't want to see the Wigglytuff at all. Definitely wants to see the Quagsire matchup. Altaria is going to be pretty afraid of Licky Licky as well.
And Corviknight also is a matchup that Altaria would very much enjoy seeing. So I think there are enough targets to at least make Greg consider the Altaria. Greg, in previous matchups against Corsola, tended to favor the Clefable. But there are two Pokemon that do a really nice job of shutting down Clefable with the double steel backbone of the team for AshtonAsh with the Corviknight and the Empoleon. So that it will probably force GoLeagueGregg to have to make some different decisions here, because it's a lot harder to rely on Clefable when 2/6 of the team walls your entire moveset.
Yeah, that is tough, and we saw GoLeagueGregg really do well with the Clefable earlier on stream, with Meteor Mash being in its move pool and really being able to do a lot of neutral damage across the board.
But unfortunately, adjustments have to be made based on the team of 6 that you're facing. And against this team, it's a lot more difficult to bring Clefable. Typically, the way that I like to take a look at teams when it comes to Clefable is how many resistances to Meteor Mash does your opponent have? Because Clefable is at its strongest when it can spam up Meteor Mash. Meteor Mash is an absurdly efficient charge attack, but with Quagsire, Empoleon, and Corviknight all having resistances to Meteor Mash, you really don't want to be in a spot where you're going up against a team that has a lot of Meteor Mash resist, because that is your good pacing.
Ooh, our trainers are locked in, head down, looking at their battles, and we have an Empoleon mirror match to start off losers final in Group D. Which trainer is going to blink first? Who is going to win the charge attack priority?
Wow, GoLeagueGregg running a line that is incredibly soft to the Quagsire, but it pays off. The Quagsire is nowhere to be found, and instead, his Empoleon is going to be locked into an Empoleon mirror.
And we see that first Hydro Cannon get fired. GoLeagueGregg goes for one more Metal Sound before throwing, but we see AshtonAsh, it appears, wins the cap tie.
Unova Stunfisk looks very, very strong in the back. Honestly, it looks very strong everywhere into the team that AshtonAsh has brought without bringing the Corsola, without bringing the Quagsire. That Unova Stunfisk is basically unchecked across this team.
Yeah, Licky, that's tough too, because Licky loves being able to pressure with that rollout damage, and Unova Stunfisk just gets to kind of laugh that off.
And I wouldn't be surprised if AshtonAsh is anticipating that the Corviknight would be pretty free here. Oh, in comes Annihilate, trying to snipe it down, but this is low kick, this is not counter, so the Empoleon able to hang on, and now Corviknight does find the target that it was looking for in the Annihilate.
Yeah, Annihilate is going to start boosting up, but Rage Fist boosts don't do as much. They're not as impactful here because you're not boosting up your fast attack damage. You're just boosting up the next Rage Fist, essentially, doing a little bit of extra damage with those low kicks.
Air Cutter lands, no shield from the Annihilate, no boost comes through. Greg farms up to the close combat, and now AshtonAsh has to make a very difficult shield call. He's going to be calling it, no shield in the Rage Fist, and that is a big swing of momentum for AshtonAsh.
Ooh, so we see that attack, the automatic attack boost go through. This forces GoLeagueGregg to put up a Protect Shield if he wants to keep the, his Annihilate around. Can Corviknight get to another Air Cutter? Can Annihilate punch down? It can!
This is a huge problem for AshtonAsh. How do you get rid of the remaining HP on this Annihilate? In comes Licky. GoLeagueGregg should look to throw 4 low kicks, and the move goes for the close combat, but there's the catch onto the Annihilate. Onto the Empoleon.
You just asked how to get rid of an Annihilate, and I think we found the answer by letting it self-debuff. So GoLeagueGregg kind of forced to get rid of, to bring it back in to clear the debuff, bringing in the low health Empoleon. But since the rollout damage isn't doing too much here, GoLeagueGregg able to get to another Hydro Cannon.
And even if Licky does get this farm down here, that's still about 40% of its health bar lost already, and that's a big problem when Unova Stunfisk in the back is able to tank this energy so comfortably.
GoLeagueGregg waiting out the timer before bringing in Unova Stunfisk. AshtonAsh, as soon as he saw what Pokemon it was, decided to press on that Shadow Ball. It's AshtonAsh and his Licky against the world here, and the fast attack damage doing nothing is really hurting AshtonAsh.
GoLeagueGregg opts for a discharge. Mud Bomb would do quite a bit more damage, so by discharging here, he does have a slight improvement in terms of pacing, but it does mean that he doesn't quite have that same ability to farm down with the Annihilate after as if he had gone for the Mud Bomb.
So an interesting choice there as we see one Shadow Ball go through. Each trainer has one Protect Shield remaining, going for just the Body Slam, hoping that it would be enough. GoLeagueGregg using his final Protect Shield.
GoLeagueGregg just going to try and farm down, but he doesn't throw his energy, but with the low kicks that landed, I believe this should be low enough for the Stunfisk just to get the Thundershock down.
A very much resisted Body Slam is just enough to knock out. Licky would need to get to a full Shadow Ball and just does not have enough gas in the tank to be able to push through. So GoLeagueGregg and the Unovan Stunfisk takes an early Game 1 victory here in the Losers Finals for Group D.
AshtonAsh ran a line that was very, very disrespectful of that Annihilate. The Annihilate was brought, and that proved to be a big problem. GoLeagueGregg ran a line that kind of disrespected that Mud Bomb Quagsire, but wasn't punished. The Quagsire was not brought. So now the question is, does AshtonAsh try and bring the Quagsire? And if you're Greg, do you try and cover for that by potentially bringing the Altaria or trying to bring that Furret?
We can see in the replay that the Corviknight did find its intended target in Annihilate, but Annihilate, by boosting up that Rage Fist, was able to eventually low kick down.
And that Annihilate, even with such little hit points remaining, still proved to be an absolute nuisance to deal with. Licky, all the energy in the world, but Stunfisk is just so bulky. Shadow Ball after Shadow Ball connecting, and it just simply did not matter.
Taking a look at that Body Slam, even though it is such a resisted attack onto the Ghost type Annihilate, was just enough to knock out Lickitung, just not having enough HP remaining to be able to get to the Shadow Ball it so desperately needed. Our trainers, they are locked in, they are ready. GoLeagueGregg, one more win and he can go into the tournament tomorrow. If AshtonAsh loses here, he is out. And we have Furret into Corviknight. Have we seen GoLeagueGregg's Furret yet today?
I don't know if we have, but Furret, this is not where it wanted to be. Safe switch into the Empoleon. Empoleon is down a ton of energy. AshtonAsh could very well decide to stay in here because AshtonAsh does have the Wigglytuff as a second check to the Furret. So by landing the payback, this now gives him the ability to just try and stay on the field because Hydro Cannon, it does just under half to the Corviknight, but this Corviknight is at about 80% HP. So for AshtonAsh, this is kind of a free sign to stay in, win alignment, and then put Furret on that Wigglytuff later on.
And we can see just how impactful those sand attacks are, just to be able to chip down at the Empoleon enough that some of these smaller attacks will threaten shielding that big, heavy payback move.
AshtonAsh going to be matching shields. He would love to try and get a sand attack down, exit with a lot of energy as a payback does hit hard onto anything that could be lurking in the back. He's going to go for it here, and he will get this sand attack down. It's going to be close, but GoLeagueGregg does not get the move.
And GoLeagueGregg has to decide, where do I want this energy? And actually doesn't go for a quick attack down here, or doesn't go for a fast attack down, goes for a Trailblaze instead to secure the knockout and boost the remaining attacks. But the Furret Sucker Punches are going to do absolutely nothing into Wigglytuff. So really that Trailblaze, the benefit of it is just boosting the charge attacks, boosting the Swifts coming from the Furret.
Yeah, GoLeagueGregg now gets to do quite a lot of damage with the Swift. AshtonAsh going to opt for the pacing play. He knows that if the shield comes up from the Furret, he's going to be shielding back anyway because he's the Corsola in the back, so he may as well go for the cheaper move, so that way he has a better chance to try and outpace and make it to his own Swift. So shield comes up from GoLeagueGregg. AshtonAsh going to look to match, as he's going to look to try and remove the Furret, because once Furret is gone, Corsola should be in a very good spot to close out the match.
Yeah, that Corsola is looking so good in the back, but Furret needs to be neutralized, and it is about to be neutralized here. Wigglytuff Swift is going to knocks this Furret out of the game. Annihilate comes in, and AshtonAsh says, hello, Galarian Corsola.
Oh, full Astonish goes through Annihilate, trying to boost itself up with the Rage Fist, but with that Astonish sneak, I believe the Corsola will now be able to outpace. Rage Fist lands that super effective damage, but with that sneak, Corsola gets the outpace, makes the Nightshade, takes the knockout, and gets AshtonAsh the much-needed equalizer.
We will be going into a decisive game number 3, battlers. I am so excited. GoLeagueGregg conceding good battle, and yes, it was.
I really liked the decision-making there from AshtonAsh. GoLeagueGregg banked energy, which I thought was a very, very nice play, but AshtonAsh realized, I have 2 answers to this in the back. I am still outside of a range where Hydro Cannon plus Metal Sounds will ever knock me out. So I can no shield on that Corviknight, and then just stay in, win switch advantage, and then that way Furret never gets to see that Corsola, because Corsola, if it can avoid that Furret, is very, very strong across the board.
Yeah, it looks great because GoLeagueGregg has the Clefable, not the Wigglytuff, as his fairy type of choice, giving Corsola an additional target.
And no catch coming out here from GoLeagueGregg. The Furret just getting knocked out, and that just set up the Corsola. AshtonAsh didn't immediately pivot into the Corsola. Had he pivoted immediately, he would have always outpaced, but then GoLeagueGregg ended up firing off this Rage Fist, and it let through a free Astonish, and that right there, the free Astonish sneak is what allowed the Corsola to outpace. Like, a good Corsola should still survive the +1 Rage Fist there, but it made the game a little bit unnecessarily close.
It was a little close, but AshtonAsh did come out victorious, evening the score 1-1. The winner of this battle is going on to compete in the tournament tomorrow. The loser is defeated and ends their tournament run today. Both trainers breathing a bit of a sigh, thinking through their options.
They know the pressure. They know the moment is here. Every trainer competing at this tournament, the goal is to make day 2, because once you make day 2, it's anyone's game. Someone can go on a run and get hot at the right moment and like surge to victory from the loser side of the bracket, but you have to get there. And that all starts with winning this final game.
Trainers locking in, making their final decision. You can see them both really thinking things through, playing through all those different scenarios in your mind. GoLeagueGregg winning that first battle with the Empoleon lead, losing when he chose to bring the Furret in. AshtonAsh being able to take the victory once he brought that Wigglytuff and Corsola. The Corviknight has stayed consistent for him.
The Corviknight, it just proves to be a very neutral presence across so many matchups. Unfortunately, in this particular matchup, with Altaria and Stunfisk being very effective answers, and with an Annihilate, if it can get up a little bit of energy, making life difficult as well, it's a little bit less safe than it is in a lot of scenarios. That's part of why Corviknight usage is so high, because in a lot of matchups, you can kind of count on it to be a very effective tool for repositioning.
Yeah, because it's just so bulky. We've seen that Corviknight bulk in many games today. Will we see it again here? What we're starting off with is a fantastic lead for GoLeagueGregg in this decisive game number 3, Annihilate into Empoleon. AshtonAsh forced to put in a Shadow Quagsire safe swap.
At Shadow Quagsire, there is no answer in the back for GoLeagueGregg. GoLeagueGregg is so weak in the back to the Quagsire. He's going to have to stay in with the Annihilate. Aqua Tail lands. Annihilate farms up to the close combat, but is going to go for a Rage Fist bait.
And because it was the swap, that Shadow Quagsire is even going to have more energy, but we see the Rage Fist bait. Unfortunately, AshtonAsh did choose to shield that up, and that makes sense. A lot of trainers would throw close combat there.
That is unfortunate. AshtonAsh playing to a charge stack priority tie that he does not win. +1 Rage Fist is going to connect. And AshtonAsh, if this Quagsire gets removed from the field of play, how is he ever going to defeat that Stunfisk?
That is going to be tough. So AshtonAsh needs the Quagsire. He just doesn't know it yet. And even if the Quagsire survives this, it's too low of health now. That Unova Stunfisk is going to just completely wreck shop later on.
He aggressively pivots into the Corviknight. GoLeagueGregg gonna go for a double boosted close combat. Shield comes up from AshtonAsh. GoLeagueGregg can choose to save the Annihilate here and pivot into the Stunfisk, but no, he's saving the Stunfisk and he's sending in the Empoleon instead.
That is an interesting play. We're going to see if it pays off for him. AshtonAsh being able to full send the payback with no Protect Shields remaining, knowing this big neutral hit is going to land.
Payback lands. That is critical damage onto the Empoleon. AshtonAsh would love if 5 sand attacks plus an air cutter would be enough to secure the knockout here, because he needs to be able to outpace this Hydro Cannon, or his Corviknight is just getting knocked out.
So we see him carefully counting, making sure that another Hydro Cannon cannot possibly land. But will this air cutter be enough? This Empoleon still has a chunk of health. It's not enough.
Oh, nice catch out of the Quagsire, able to preserve that Corviknight for later. This will give a slight energy head start to Empoleon, and Empoleon being up a turn in that Stunfisk matchup is actually beneficial. However, there's no Protect Shields in play, and Mud Bomb damage would be catastrophic. GoLeagueGregg waiting it down. In comes the Corviknight. He didn't bring in the Empoleon, but now this is Stunfisk's opportunity to shine.
So Stunfisk being able to throw those super effective discharges, and there's no shields remaining. AshtonAsh didn't have the opportunity for a catch due to that switch timer. So now we are going to just see this Unovan Stunfisk run amok.
Unova Stunfisk makes the discharge. That is critical damage landing onto the Empoleon. And to make matters worse, the Stunfisk is not in Hydro Cannon range. It's super effective damage, but it's just simply not going to matter. AshtonAsh continues to farm, but there is just no way out here. Plays the charge stack priority. He needs this to knock out, but Unova Stunfisk is very bulky and should survive.
AshtonAsh looking up, saying, shaking his head no, knowing that Unovan Stunfisk is too tanky. The flat little pancake that could. GoLeagueGregg secures his victory, secures day number 2.
You can see the emotion hitting GoLeagueGregg. He's done it, taken down one of North America's finest. He's moving on to Top Cut.
This is the end of the road for AshtonAsh today, but we know it's not the end of the road forever. AshtonAsh, an incredible battler, a fan favorite. We hope to see many more tournament runs from AshtonAsh.
I will be honest, I was expecting to see a lot more Annihilate in Day 2 than Metacham, but it's definitely been the reverse. It has been Metacham after Metacham, so we do get an Annihilate sneaking into Top Cut as well. And the pacing, the speed on that Annihilate just absolutely ran away with those games.
Taking a look back at this final matchup, AshtonAsh just losing the Quagsire early on just really set him up for defeat, and GoLeagueGregg was able to position this Unova Stunfisk to completely, I can't say it ran away with it, maybe it just kind of like flopped away with it at the end of the game.
That was a very tough spot for AshtonAsh. AshtonAsh brought the Corsola game 2, and the Corsola was game winning, but benched it game 3, and unfortunately, Corsola was triple strong into that line. None of those Pokemon from GoLeagueGregg would have wanted to see that Pokemon, but by benching the Corsola, it made that Stunfisk just incredibly strong once Quagsire was out of the way.
And we are going to see here Unova Stunfisk being able to just do devastating damage with Discharge, just hitting very hard, and then going for the Discharge one more time. This Hydro Cannon, AshtonAsh, you can see him shaking his head, just knowing it's not going to be quite enough.
The shiny Stunfisk hanging on for GoLeagueGregg, punching his ticket to day number 2. And you gotta love when you can see how much it means for these trainers, the deep breath, the emotion hitting. You're on to your first top cut.
So congratulations to GoLeagueGregg. We are excited to see GoLeagueGregg continue forward with that shiny Unova Stunfisk to continue on to Top Cut tomorrow. We, for those of you watching at home, you do not want to move from your seats. We are just wrapping up day number 1. We have a few losers matches